bro. All right, Will, thanks for being here, man. How's it going today, man? You doing well?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. I'm actually in Spain right now. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, that's why you see the patterns in the background. I'm in a hotel that's pretty historic. So they got some funky style here.
For business or pleasure?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
My business is all remote, so I don't really have to physically be anywhere at the moment. So I decided to shoot over to Spain for the month of July,
Ooh.
and work out of here.
Wow.
So
Well, let's give everyone background of you and what little I know about you. So I know
yeah.
you grew up in New York, you went to Arizona State, and then you worked in health tech. And then did you start going more entrepreneurial from there, or?
Yeah, yeah. I went into university with the intent I was pre-med, wanted to be a physician, work on the clinical side. That idea sort of simmered out. And then the reason why I got into health tech after I graduated is because I wanted to implement what I knew I was comfortable at. I knew I had really good skills at, which is communication, business, et cetera, and still have an impact in the healthcare world.
Sure.
Because I still had a passion for that for some extent. And I worked for a health tech on the corporate side for DaVita, which is a large dialysis provider, and then the health tech side for about 8 to 10 years. Working for smaller startups and building out their teams. But during that period of time, I was still sort of digging my hands in little entrepreneurial things. I call it sort of micro entrepreneurial investments and stuff like that, primarily in the digital space. And that's what led me to where we are today. I mean, that obviously had a domino effect. I was involved in Amazon, a while back, sort of on the earlier stages on a smaller scale. And really my business partner and I, we came across, a few years ago, we were noticing these companies were popping up that were, building out businesses, doing sort of done for you Amazon businesses for investors, and, seemed amazing on the surface, but we actually, as a test, invested in a couple just to sort of see how they played out. And we realized, because we knew the industry of e-commerce, and we quickly realized that honestly, everyone in the space was just not executing it properly. And there was just inefficient providers literally all over the place. And so that really led us to bootstrap and start our own organization that does a similar thing on the surface, but is built completely different. We took all those gaps in the industry, infrastructure gaps, operational gaps, all that stuff that we notice, ethics at the top, outsourcing, all these things that lead to a fragmented business model. And we just did it the other way around and flipped the script. And fast forward to 2.5 years later, we've got, over 300 clients, 2 warehouse facilities in Dallas, Texas, an office in Los Angeles. And we've done millions of revenue so far for our investors.
Yeah.
So,
Well, let's explain e-commerce to some people, because I know a little bit about it, and I have a very, I guess, blanket definition of it. It's basically just buying or selling products online for the most part, correct? With online services.
yeah, essentially. I mean, that's the highest level way you could say, look at it. It's e-commerce is just commerce online, right? It's internet commerce. You peel back the layers of that, and you have major third-party platforms. Amazon, obviously, everyone's familiar with Amazon. If you're not, I don't know where you are right now, but and then we have Walmart, which is the second largest e-commerce provider. They just took over eBay a couple of years ago because they're obviously a massive retailer in the US and North America, but they never really injected their capital into e-commerce the same way and let third parties sell. But now they're a massively emerging market. So you really have those third party platforms, which people don't realize that just Amazon as a statistic here, between 55 and 60% last time I looked, this is stats from earlier this spring, is pretty much what makes up their revenue is third party sellers. So Amazon is making their money from people that are selling through their platform, both prime and non-prime products. And then you have private e-commerce. If you make your own website and do your own stuff like that, if you're just a business that's brick and mortar and wants to bring it online with your own website.
With Amazon, what you're talking about, is that like the affiliate links and things?
No, it's actually like Amazon Prime. Those Prime trucks that are everywhere dropping off packages. And when you buy stuff online, those packages, Prime products are, 60 to 70% of those are our clients' products and people like our clients. So
Oh,
essentially is, they're the ones that are actually selling it and fulfilling it from their warehouse, but we own the products, or our clients own the products, or third-party sellers own the products. They're just coming from an Amazon warehouse. So honestly, Amazon's not owning, they have Amazon Basics and they have stuff like that, but they don't own the actual products a lot of the times.
Okay.
It's actually third-party sellers. Yeah.
I'm with you now. So is it better to do it privately or kind of get into it like what you're saying with Amazon or is there a better way or is it just kind of?
If you're at the end of the day, stability and sustainability is really going to come from riding the coattails of a massive platform like Amazon that you don't need to spend money on marketing. So it's lower capital injection and lower risk because the foot traffic is already there. And the majority of people, I think it's, I don't have the exact number on this, between 70 and 80% of people that shop on Amazon, they do it specifically because they know they can go on Amazon and they can buy, a comb and they can also buy like tire greaser or whatever. Sure. You can literally buy everything. It's random, but it's consolidation, which leads to convenience, which leads to saving time, which at the end of the day, that's just the way humans are. Or maybe we want to save time. We want to do things quickly. And so if you want to sell on a platform, it's always better to at least to start with a platform where that there's already going to be people on it. And then strategically is where we come into play. We're the ones, investors pay an upfront, fee, but essentially what we do is we do the whole thing for them. So we're sourcing products by data to know that, hey, these are going to sell. There's lower competition on it, whatever it may be, that factor is. And then we push the products out on Amazon for our clients and do that all for them. But that's the safest place to start in terms of sustainability, just given the name that Amazon has in the industry and how many people just gravitate towards that website regardless.
Is it tough predicting, those moves and what new products are going to be and how well they're going to move or if they're going to sell? Or is that just looking at patterns?
Yeah, there's, at the end of the day, there's, I could get my, one of my directors on here and he or she would be able to really pull back the details and the nitty gritty of really the deep product research here. But at the end of the day, it's all data driven. You have predictive data based on trends and search algorithms that you're seeing online. What are people searching for this quarter? What's going on in the world, whatever it may be. And then you have historical data and then you have seasonal trends. So that's the kind of data you pull to actually source and look for products. And then it's, can you get it at a cheaper price than the competitors that already have it? That's a huge factor right there. It's, can you source it at a lower cost? And algorithmically, if your product is premiered first on Amazon, and how they decide that is based on a lot of factors, sure. Lower price point, the health of your store as a seller, all these little factors that play into it. If you're premiered first, how many times when you're looking for a product on Amazon, how many times do you go to the second page?
It's rare. Very rarely. You're gonna Google, yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking right there. It's like, I never go.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
But has that got to do with like search engine optimization too? I don't even know. Like I've read a bit about that. Just how to get your promoted and. It
does to some extent. I mean, you can run SEO and PPC ads to specific things in Amazon, but it depends on what you're doing, what your model is. We do a hybrid model. So we do wholesale products, which are products that are brand name that people already know about, right? They're brand name products throughout North America. So you buy in bulk, get a volume discount, and then flip it at a margin. And then there's private labeling, which sort of aligns with what you're saying is SEO and be able to put ads towards that because that's actually a branded product that's under our own client's brand. So we build out a brand for them. So if you wanted to, for example, we have most recent one I saw that we did for a client was some kind of baking utensil. It was like wedding cake stacks or something in the cake and baking section. Yeah. But the reason why we sourced it is because we knew we could get it very, very cheap, like $1.50 per unit. And we knew there's only 2 competitors on Amazon selling it. They had low inventory. And they were selling it at a pretty high price point. And so we negotiated with manufacturers, sourced it, and then flipping that at $15.99 and we're $10 below the competitor's price. Nice. Right there. But in order to drive that initial sales, you spend a few $100s on marketing here and there, and you start pushing traffic specifically to that product. But it really just sort of depends. But at the end of the day, it's if you do it the right way, you can do minimal ad spend on Amazon, just given the reason that it's Amazon, like I said before. So
was there a lot of learning for you to, get acclimated to all of this, like learning?
Yeah. I mean, there's, and we've grown so expansively at this point. I don't run operations in our company. There's 2 of us who founded this, Jeremy and myself. And obviously you have to run through the great thing about this is I've gone through my failures on Amazon before.
Sure.
I know what it's like to fail with products. I know what it's like to not make money and to spend money on ads and lose that money. And both of him and I have gone through that in the past, and we know what works now. And that's how we sort of started this company. We knew exactly how, if someone wants to invest, so they don't have to go through the processes of trial and error, which is unfortunate, not fun, costly, time consuming, all of these things. And most of our investors are, everything from school teachers all the way up to people working in the financial sector, all different backgrounds, but commonality is no one has time. And people are worried about the risk of trying something specifically and pumping money in an industry they don't know. And so we went through those periods, and those, we dealt with that. And that's why what we present now is pretty much a tried and true process that obviously we're innovating and evolving as things evolve in the industry. But we've already done that for everyone, is where I'm getting at. And yeah, it had a lot of different failures here and there, a lot of testing, and testing is still going on. And it's just crazy how much this industry does evolve every week, whether it's new digital product opportunities that are coming out or things that are just constantly happening with Amazon policies and all of that. And that's something that not one person would want to have to worry about as a single seller. And so that's why we take over that kind of aspect for people, so they don't have to be concerned about what's happening in the industry and what's happening on the platform.
Yeah, dude. I was just thinking about it, just, the patterns and looking at products, and I don't know if it'd be overwhelming. I guess to me it would be overwhelming just because I've never really done anything like e-commerce or anything. I just go in there and search what I want to buy and be done with it. But one of those things that, I feel like if you want to learn it and get good at it and you put your, your blood, sweat and tears in it, you can come out and do pretty well for yourself. I mean, it seems like you're doing really well as far as like traveling and, like, what do you surf on? I saw some surfing on Instagram. I don't know if that was,
I do. I live in Venice Beach in Los Angeles, and most places I travel to, there's going to be some kind of coastline. And if there's coastline or any kind of sports route, I like to do it and be involved. Yeah. And that's one of them. But yeah, it's at the end of the day, I have my own personal e-commerce businesses, but right now my main focus is obviously our clients and making them successful. But, if you take a few steps back, it's what this is, and being successful in e-commerce, it's not going to be something that takes, most of the time, it's not going to be something that, replaces your entire, income stream. But that being said, it is a supplementary add-on to what you're currently doing, and making that extra 3, 4, 5, 10, upwards of the highest month we've had for a client is $29,000 in a month net. Obviously the more you can pump money into the business, the more you're going to be able to get out of it. So that client had deeper pockets to start with. But everyone can essentially get there, is my point. But my point is, in general, is that extra $2,000, $3,000, it's a big difference for a lot of people. And that covers a lot of different things. And so, that's what we do, is we provide that additional source of income. And the cool thing about this too, is it's not just about the passive income. The way that we build these businesses, they're actually assets. So, we're in a big world about digital assets. And if you build a product and a business online in the right manner and follow the right guidelines and have the right business model behind it and the right management team behind it, that digital asset and Amazon business appreciates in value over time. And then it's sellable down the line. You can exit 3, 4, 5 years. And, we've seen people sell for 6 figures or upwards of 7 figures with a private label product. It's possible. So,
yeah, that's one thing that it took me for a while to figure out, was like how, I don't want to say it's overrated, but how necessary actually a passive income is. And it's, a lot of people, it goes unnoticed. I think that's what I'm trying to say. And that little things like this, like small things, you probably put money in and eventually start getting money back out. And like you said, for little side things that you're doing with your life or whatever, that pays for that, a couple bills a month or whatever. And it's something so easy to do when you can do it anywhere too, right?
And then that's a great thing. I mean, we're in a digital world right now. If you don't have digital income streams, or you're not looking in that direction, even if it's a small amount, it's important, because also it compounds. Once you get passive income streams digitally, without having to go physically somewhere, whatever it may be, that extra income too can be leveraged to invest in other opportunities.
Sure.
So it becomes a domino effect down the line. That extra 3, 4 grand, say you're just saving it instead and you're not using it for travel. You save that for a year, then you got 50, 60, 70 grand, whatever it may be. There's your real estate investment right there. Boom.
Boom. Love it. It's one of these things that it goes where people are nervous. I say, I'm generally speaking, we're nervous to put in money like that because they're so worried. Like you said, you had to go through your L's and your losses until you finally started winning, but a lot of people don't want to lose in the beginning. But most people who seem to, what I've learned from doing these podcasts, most successful people who actually don't mind taking their losses and learning from it and stay on the grind, they eventually come out on a better part of the better end of it and come out successful.
Oh yeah. I mean, failure breeds success. You can't, that is, I don't know if I'm taking those words from someone, probably a lot of successful entrepreneurs will say something like that, but at the end of the day, you have to fail. There's no one who doesn't fail before they succeed. And even once you succeed, you're going to continue to fail. Like I dip my hands in, a lot of alternative investments now they have the ability to, and the financial freedom to, and, I don't, they're not all going to succeed. I'm investing in some very alternative stuff right now. And fortunately I have the ability to do that at this point. I had to get here, but yeah, there's a lot of failures, and that's how you learn a lot of different things. As long as you can persevere through that, learn from whatever failure that might be, and then approach it differently the next time around, you're only going to get better and better after that. It's like chipping away at something and it's just growing back stronger and stronger and stronger.
I would assume, and even investing in those different areas you're talking about, that you're doing your DD and due diligence for those who don't know what I'm talking about. So you're not a complete idiot. You're not going in there blind, where some people have done that, right? And that's where they got.
Yeah. At the end of the day, there's always the high risk, high reward. That's a thing, right? We all know that regardless, you can correlate that with crypto. Crypto has crashed. It's not going to crash forever. It's going to make its way back eventually. But that's a volatile investment. But doing it in a certain manner, it has very, very high returns. And but if you're doing, you have to do due diligence. But there's only so much you can predict and learn about it. For me, I invest in things now that I believe in. So if I believe in a concept, and obviously the data is there to some extent, my risk will be backed up by sort of my passion behind it and what I believe in specifically. Right now, I like to sort of invest in passion projects. I'm about to invest in a clean water project in Pakistan, and a lot of different things that are sort of random, but at the end of the day, there's data behind all of these. And it's also, if failure does hit from an investment like this, at least I put my money in something that I believed in as well. So I think that holds a lot of weight behind it too. So
yeah, that's a good point, that you're actually putting your money into something you believe in rather than you're just going for the profits, right? So it means more to you probably, right? Putting in your money.
Yeah. And that's why it's less of a gut punch if you don't, you're not doing that just because it's going to fail so you don't feel as bad, but that does sort of help ease it a little bit if it doesn't turn out exactly the way that you expected. Obviously I can't say I'm investing in everything that I 100% believe in. Some of them are random projects that I know will just have good ROI. But when I come across things that are passion forward and I sort of believe in the vision behind it, and I can sort of bootstrap as an investor in it with the return, and I'm with it. So
I don't blame you, man. That's a great mindset to have. Speaking of that, did you always have that type of mindset, or is you something you always continually work on? You've always you came out the womb with something like this?
Yeah. I didn't get raised. I was raised middle class. I didn't really always have money to invest. It was more of like, how am I going to get out of student debt? How am I going to, I always was big about passion, and if you're passionate about something specifically, that always drove a lot of like my decisions with certain things. Sure. Even if I wasn't a student debt, I would always pay the minimum to the bank just because I was like, I'm not going to let them take my 20s away by just paying huge chunks of when I start to make money. You know what I mean? But I think passion is a huge factor in driving almost everything that I do regardless. But at the end of the day, once I was able to be more financially comfortable and get to that state where, I have some extra cash flow that I can actually invest in projects that might be a little more high risk, but are very passion forward. That's obviously what's driven, I'd say 20 to 25% of my investments as of lately, the last year or so.
Yeah, for sure, dude. I just wish a lot of people would get that kind of mindset that we've been talking about, is that, hey, you're going to have losses, you're going to have goods, you're going to have bads, but you keep showing up, the good things are going to happen. And it seems like that's what's happened with you. And that, go ahead. That's just one of those things that I feel like a lot of people, there's always an excuse for everything, where people are like, oh, it's the reason this didn't work out was because of it's easy to blame others instead of themselves.
Of course, man. Positivity is huge. If you're not leading with, and again, we're all human. There's no way you're not going to be hurt by something specifically or have some kind of negative energy at some point. No one's perfect, right? Sure. But if you can lead by knowing that there's light at the end of the tunnel, and you'll get through this. It's just another day. I think, is it like Ed Milet who says always one more day, just do it one more time. So if you feel like you want to give up, just do it one. Can you just try? Don't think about doing it for one more year. Can you do one more day? One more day. And that is, I think that really resonated with me. It makes perfect sense. It's think about what you can do today. Can you push through this one more day? This is unfortunate. Not, you had a loss today, get through this day. Tomorrow's a new day, get through that day. And before you know it, you've gone through, 6 months, you're into your next investment kind of thing. Time goes by so fast. It's really just getting through the current time that you're in, and coming out positive, with a positive manner. And the universe, works its way out.
Yeah, so. I like that saying, always one more day. It reminds me of, I just read Will Smith's book, ironically enough.
Oh, yeah.
But he was basically talking about how when he was little, his father told him to build a brick wall, him and his brother or something. And like all he did was like lay a brick and made it as perfectly as straight and great as he could. Then he just kept with that. He laid another one. He would do it again. Yeah. Just kept doing it over and over until they finally finished the wall. And he said that's kind of what his mentality was in life, was just keep grinding, keep doing one thing little by little. And, these small wins, obviously some people will look at them like, oh, they're small, they're not leading up to anything. But over time, boom, magic happens.
Yeah, they compound. And sometimes, before you know it, there's something that accelerates and 10 bricks went up at once. Like that's sometimes you'll just hit your stride.
Yeah.
That no one can tell you, no one's going to know ever, whatever day, week, month that's going to be, but it'll happen eventually, and you just got to know that your time will come if you just keep persevering and you keep your head straight. And yeah, that's the way I like to look at it.
Yeah, man. Again, I mean, you're making me want to run through a brick wall right now just because like I said, so many people, like maybe I'm making it sound easier than what it is, but some people, if they just change a little bit of the way they think or the way they speak to themselves or others, that they could easily, do anything they want to, and especially, if they're sitting in a shitty 8 to 5 job and they hate it or whatever, and they're like, oh man, they go home and just pound, beers and fast food until, that's a reward system, but it just causes more negative issues down the road. But it was something like this, they could find something like e-commerce or whatever their passion is to easily make that passive income. And obviously, that financial freedom is a big thing as far as, mentally and putting a big weight off your shoulders,
Yeah. Mindset, man. You just sort of nailed it on it. It's mindset. So it's like, obviously not everyone, the person who's in the 9 to 5, plenty of people are in the 9 to 5 with all different levels of income, right? And it's not easy. No one's saying it's easy at all. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing is mindset, and then finding your ways to, you might not have enough money to invest in an e-commerce store. Maybe you don't have your 20 grand or whatever it may be. You don't have that budget, but educate yourself on something that you're interested in, right? You can buy most likely that $5 digital course or whatever it may be, or just use the internet at your disposal and learn about things that you're interested in that will compound and lead to other things. And eventually, you'll find your way into the next step. And, that trail, there's a trail there, you just got to keep pushing through it. And it's also a cyclical thing. You're right. 9 to 5, go home, maybe potentially eat unhealthy, which, your gut affects your mind too. You're on a poor diet, that's going to affect how your mind is processing certain things and how you feel about yourself, whether it's anxiety, depression, all that kind of stuff. It's all one big thing that is connected, so, take it sometimes it's, and I do this always, is because life goes by so fast. I always, once in a while, things are good, things are bad, whatever it may be, take a couple deep breaths, take a step back out of the situation, just like almost look at what's going on from the outside if you can. Sure. And then sort of assess it yourself, whether it's good or bad, embrace it, embrace it,
Yeah. That's one thing I've also had to learn, was just like kind of sit back and reflect and think, so, all right, how are things going? Is this what I like or is this what I don't like? And then make a plan on how to change them, instead of just keep going down the road and just screwing yourself over.
Yeah, you're going to blink and then it's going to be, 5, 10, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, 5, 10 years later. It's like, holy shit, what did I,
sure.
What just happened?
Mm-hmm. We don't have to go on a pandemic talk here, but that was kind of what happened to me. I felt like I was on autopilot until, the life came to a halt, so to speak. And it was just like, ooh, I guess I could start rerouting things and change the way, am I living the way I want to do? I mean, let me make a few changes in my life and make myself a little bit happier. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Yeah. It's just one of these things you just got to sit down and think about. And yeah, it's just like you said, blink of the eyes, you're 5, 10 years down the road. And if you didn't ask any questions or do anything about it, there's 10 years that are gone that you're not getting back.
There's 10 years but then it's right now. So then start now, because and it'll be another 10 years if you don't act when you know what I mean? It's never too late. It's never too late to start whatever it is. And if it's just, say you feel like you got a waterfall of things that you want to change, just start with one thing.
Sure.
The gratification of being able to push through something that, you wanted to change, whether how small or how large it is so impactful to your mental health, how you feel about things, and how it just leads into your mentality going into the next thing you want to change. Then you get momentum. There's nothing, I think momentum is one of the most powerful things out there. You see it in basketball games.
Yep.
And that's why you see it, a team come back from like 50 points down. They had more heart in it. They had more momentum, et cetera. Momentum is contagious, and it bleeds into the next thing in a good way. So
there's just
definitely important.
Somebody talked about, I don't know if it was a quote or what, but it was like talk about having that momentum. And once you get on a momentum positive streak or success, whatever you want to call it, that slow momentum, kind of what you're saying, just compounds and you keep building and building. That's what you get on that ride for a little while.
Yeah, man. I'm all about that. I mean, I used to love, it's crazy to see, and it's like, it's something that's not necessarily tangible, right?
Sure.
Like what is momentum? What is it? You can't see it specifically. You can, but it's, momentum is just, it's the energy that's going in and it's producing more results, or however you want to define momentum. Because it's a very interesting kind of way to look at it, but it is there and it's powerful whether we see it or not. And it's something that compounds. Momentum will compound over momentum, become stronger and stronger and stronger. The little wave becomes into a tidal wave, and then you're dominating.
There you go, man. Loving it, man.
Yeah.
What would be all right? So this might be switching gears a little bit, but let's say if somebody is coming out of college or whatever, and they want to start in the e-commerce or kind of take maybe a little bit of the same path that you did. I mean, do you have any advice that you would put out there for them?
Number one, I think, is people don't realize how important your credit is. Credit is so important. Personal credit is very important. And if you're younger, you have less credit history.
Sure.
But I'm talking to someone who might not, even if someone who's got the money, credit is going to define, this is in the United States, it's going to affect you being able to buy a house down the line, real estate, get loans at 0% for business opportunities, whatever it may be. No. So work on your credit, number one. And you'll be able to, with good credit over 700, you can leverage the bank's money at 0%. And, the banks and credit card companies have taken advantage of consumers for, 40, 50 years, forever, right? High interest rates, whatever it may be, right? But there are 0% interest rates, and you can get that and you can achieve that by having good credit. And with that, you can invest in business models that, the sooner you invest in something that's an appreciating asset, that's going to be worth money down the line, regardless. And I'm talking to a college, someone coming out of graduating who might not have all those funds, and it might not be exciting to get that first 9 to 5 out of college. No one really likes that. It's like, is this going to be the rest of my life? Exactly. It's not necessarily, take that job if you have to for that money, but, work on your credit and then be able to leverage, the biggest thing is learn about certain things that you care about. And I can't keep pushing it enough. If you can leverage credit, which we teach our clients to do as well. Sometimes we have clients with very deep pockets and they've got like a 500 credit score. It's just not wise to leverage your cash flow and your cash for investments that can be done by the bank, that you can use someone else's money, which is essentially the bank. So getting a 0% business loan is a lot easier than people actually think, or business credit. And you can use that to invest in opportunities that will return in cash flow, pay that off before your interest even accrues. We guarantee our investors ROI on their investment. So if someone were to get a 0% card and invest with us, they're going to get that cash flow back enough to pay that back. Before you know it, you have a business that you didn't even pay any interest to get, and you had zero money to start. you just had credit. So regardless of what it is, I think be wary of, be mindful of your credit. I didn't actually at all when I was, I'm saying this because I didn't, I was just like, it's just, it's a devil's plastic, the credit card. You don't know what it is when you're 19 years old, they give you a card. It's like, you think it's your money, but it's not. Be smart about that spend, but learn about ways where you can increase your credit score, because that's going to pay massive dividends in your mid-20s through your 30s and beyond.
That's a good model, dude. I didn't really think about it like that. So, for example, based on what you said, that I took out a bank loan for 0% interest or whatever. I got good credit. And,
Yeah.
I invest that with you. And then let's say I have X amount of money, go pay off that loan. Then you take out the loan again and just reinvest it until you just kind of got a building block of bigger gains.
You essentially, so the way we do it, there's a one-time upfront initial investment. So that's an initial investment of X amount of money. There's different ranges. Wow. And then to pump money into the store, you need to have working capital, right? Which is generally used on business cards or personal credit cards. It's always better to do on business cards because business credit cards don't report to your personal credit. So they'll never affect your personal credit. Takes liability away. So the one-time payment, let's say it's $15,000, $20,000, whatever it may be on the tier, if you use the 0% bank loan for that, you could do that, and then you'd have to have a business card, a credit card, which is very easy to, you get it, open up a new entity and you can get a business card immediately with good credit, which is going to be something that's completely separate of this, right? And we leverage that for products and working capital through the term. And before you know it, most of our clients are breaking even under a year. Then you have that $20K initial paid off and you're just using a revolving credit line. And I'll explain it right now, man. I'm in Spain. I'm going to be in Europe most of the summer. I do not pay for flights and I do not pay for hotels anymore. I use all the points that are leveraging on my e-commerce stores and my business, whether it's ad spend mixed with just revolving products that I'm buying. Yeah. It's great. I flew here with not $1 out of my pocket and staying in a pretty nice hotel for nothing. But that's what I like to use the points for. You can use it for cash back. You can use whatever passion you want. There's a lot of different cards out there with good benefits, but there's a lot of ways to take advantage and utilize this in the good way that's safe. People think credit and they freak out. You can use it in the right manner with the right mindset and the right strategy, and you can not have any negative effects and only have positive outcomes from it. And this additional sugar on top, which is, extra money via points.
Yeah, dude, that's so awesome, man. You get to go travel without barely paying anything, man. Like go to Spain, live your life, dude. Fuck. Shit, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a way to.
That's my favorite part about it. I mean, my whole life I've been traveling, but yeah, obviously it's different now. It's crazy because I have more money to be able to travel now, but I'm spending less.
Yeah, it's just like you don't think it would work out like that, but yeah,
but it's the opposite. Now I don't even spend money on my flights, and I have more money to spend. So that wouldn't be an issue to do it. It's like it's crazy how the world works.
Is that your goal? Was like to come travel most of the world, or?
Yeah, I mean, I started pretty young. I actually didn't really for some reason, I think it's just sort of a bug in my family. Okay. My mom was a big traveler when she was young. She used to live in Greece and stuff like that. And when I, 17 years old, everyone's going to prom, senior prom. I said, no, hell no, I'm not doing that. And I backpacked Central America. It's like, I'm going to spend my money instead of doing buying a tuxedo and blowing all this money on this shit. I'm going to go. So I bought a round trip or a one-way. Technically, it really was a round trip, but it was sort of like an open-ended kind of ticket down in Mexico. And I just backpacked all the way through down to Nicaragua, et cetera, Guatemala, all of that. So that obviously got me hooked ever since then. Whenever I had money to put away, I'd be going to Europe every summer when I could for 2 weeks when I was working for someone. Yeah. And now I can do it extensively the last few years. Just a big part. Once you have that bug, it's sort of like, shit. If I don't get out of Los Angeles and do something like this frequently, this is my mental release. It's sort of a meditative thing for me to travel. Because I'm so busy with my business that I'm still going to work while I'm abroad, but I will feel suffocated if I don't do it. Just sort of my own thing.
Did you go by yourself in South America?
Actually, I had two buddies who are a couple years older than me.
Okay.
Go with me. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I've just, taken that type of a bold move and not doing the social norm and going to prom, just saying, nah, fuck that. Let's go backpack. I mean, that's a great memory that you can have. I mean, I don't even talk to my prom dates now. So it's kind of like, yeah, they were good. Yeah. And I kind of sucked at the same time afterwards, but yeah, man, that's so good and so cool and you actually you see the world and you kind of learn new things. I like how you said it's kind of meditative for you at the same time where
it is. There's nothing more meditative for me than being able to just be and I've been to Spain multiple times. It's not my first time here, but every time I go somewhere, whether it's repeating the same country or not, you're always put in slightly uncomfortable situations. And all that does is strengthen you as a person. And you get to see different perspective and different ways of life. And that just sharpens you overall. And believe it or not, I'm not sure the specifics of it, but it helps me with my business and how I approach things back in the States. Honestly, just being able to be immersed in other situations across the world it's honestly, I don't really even know I don't really have words to explain how it makes me feel, but it definitely accelerates me as a person, and it refines me in terms of, how I feel about certain things. Whether it's gratitude, whether it's, just having different, disagreements in business, and understanding that knowing someone's got a different perspective and or a different backpack, I like to say it, that they're wearing. You never know where people are coming from in their opinion. And I think all that ties into my perspective when I'm traveling and always being in different cultures and stuff like that. It's pretty impactful.
Yeah. Matthew McConaughey wrote about that in his book, Green Lights, about how he went on to a random desert. I can't remember what, but that's how he wrote the book, was just getting away from all the noise, away from social media, away from other people, and just kind of, and what you're saying is like basically what he said, as far as, kind of resetting the mind and getting back to where his actual thoughts were and wanted to pursue in life, and take that with him back to I think he was in some desert in America. I don't remember where, but yeah. And he wrote about all his life and what he was thinking at the time, what his future goals are, and what he's wanting to do now, and where he sees himself in 10 years. And it's so powerful stuff, and it goes unnoticed. And people think that, doing things like that is, not cool, and it's lame,
or it's crazy, or whatever.
Crazy. Yeah. Like somebody to say, like, a 17-year-old kid, I'm going to skip the prom and go backpack, across Central America. Like, nobody would be like, oh, you're crazy, dude, for doing it, like you said. But it's not. That's you need these outliers and stuff. Uh-oh.
Lost you for a second. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Yeah.
We're here. Yeah. It might be the
Spanish.
Might be the Spanish internet. I don't know.
It could be mine. But yeah, like, you just need people like that who are not afraid to go against or think outside the box and do things differently, and, go, enjoy that life, and just think like, oh, when you're looking back on your deathbed, just like, oh, I'm glad I went to my prom. Or, I guess there's good things to the proms too, but you also have that you had, dude, like, and that's,
and it was for me. I mean, it might not be for everyone, but at the end of the day, like, I can attribute a lot of my success to traveling in general. Like, even said before, like, I was traveling when most people would not spend money on a trip because they're in college debt after I graduated, right? Oh, you're in college debt. You should be putting that, a couple $1,000s, whatever it is, towards your loan, whatever. And I said, hell no, I'm going to pay the minimum because I need this for myself. And all that did was lead me into different positions and, different career opportunities and different mindsets that led me into an entrepreneurial spirit, which at the end of the day, led me to where I am right now. And college debt's not a thing anymore, and I don't regret, any of it. It's huge. It's got a huge impact to be able to, and it's different for everyone, the kind of traveling. Everyone might have a different way of releasing. It doesn't mean always has to mean going across the world. Like you said, McConaughey was probably in the States in the desert, just quiet around him. Yeah. It means something different for everyone, but whatever that is for you as a person, find it and do it. And it's one of those things where you just take the leap on it if it's your first time, because a lot of times people, they're nerds. It's almost like I used to cliff jump when I was younger. I grew up in the mountains in New York. Nice. And it's like the first few ones that were like really high are like, should I do this? But I always used to be like, nah, don't even think about it. Just jump, kind of thing. Jump into the water. Just take the leap, and once you're in the air, you're screaming and you're loving it, kind of thing. So it's just, you gotta push through that kind of quick barrier, and the other side is awesome. So
I love that. Take a leap of faith. And that's because it's so easy to overthink something, and and it's so easy. Like, I guess our mind goes into this, I've heard this goes into a survival instinct mode. It's like, these are the reasons not to do something because, X, Y, and Z, you won't have any money, it won't work out or whatever. But when you do finally learn to push yourself through that barrier and take that leap, dude, I mean, there's a lot more positives usually on the other side of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like they say salto mortale or salto mortal, which is Spanish, Italian, Latin for essentially somersault, or like the leap of death. Which at the end of the day, what it really means is to take that chance, take that leap, do that thing that, you want to do, but it seems like it's scary to do. Because you're only living once, and you on your deathbed, whatever, down the line, and you don't know, what's tomorrow, or you're going to even see tomorrow. So, live it up as much as you can, live it in the moment.
That's the truth. Well, I think we should take it home on that right there, man. That'd be a good way to take the podcast home. If people want to find Ascend and all of your businesses or whatever, plug away, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, our website is www.ascendecom.com. That's ASCENDECOM.com. You can book a call with us there if you're interested. Our social media is at Ascend, ASCEND _ECOM. I'm at Basta, WBAS today. Everything is there. And we send a lot of updates on that as well about business opportunities and things that we're doing. And I really appreciate the time today, man. It's a great conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Well, all right, everybody, we're out of here. See you.